What made you lose respect for someone? Friends partying during the pandemic. I'm going to come out of this a lot lonelier. An ex-friend took money out of his mum's bank without her prior knowledge. She has early stages of Alzheimer's. His justification was, his brother had took more money from his mum, and he was going to pay her back. Fuck that guy. Drugs him clean, I promise. Heard that 100 times. Continuous disregard of my opinions and repeated disrespect. Became friends with a bunch of dudes from my hometown since we all worked in the same Korean barbecue place. Everyone respected them because they were thought to be real stand-up guys and chill stoners. Pretty much used me at times to smoke them out. Their other friends tried to talk to my girlfriend and hid it from me. Finally cut them off when I got in car crash and got ghosted by them immediately after. Months later, the ones I was closest to tried to get in contact with me after they found each one of them had tried to get with each other's girls, causing the friend group, most of them were blood cousins, had split into different groups. Not really that tragic or anything, but I have anxiety and ADHD I've never seen professional help for, so this fucked up since these were for a time the only real friends I ever had. I saw my senior nursing colleague photocopying someone else's typed essay. I saw a name on the front sheet. It wasn't hers. We had both been on a course that day and we had to write an essay about that specific topic. I cut off a friend who jokingly said she was going to kill herself. Like it was nothing. Like nobody would care and we'd all just move on with our lives. I was having real suicidal thoughts that no one knew about, and the fact that she was so nonchalantly saying that she was going to end her life just offended me. I lost all hope when she said our friend group was just starting shit for no reason. Honestly, this might be unpopular, but I lost a ton of respect for Will Smith when I saw The Fresh Prince and he talked with Janet Hubert. For decades people have been talking about her being difficult to work with, and she defended herself saying Will was having a power trip. Then in the reunion they talked and he admitted he's the one that did it. She said how being a dark-skinned black woman in Hollywood, that being labeled difficult was the kiss of death. That she didn't talk much to her co-stars cause she didn't know who she could trust. She asked him why he did that to her. He said he was young and threatened by everyone. She asked him, why was I a threat to you? And he said, not you. The world. I saw everyone as a threat. Which pissed me off because that's not what she asked. He didn't target anyone else. He didn't hurt anyone else. She asked him why she was the one he targeted. And I gotta say, that interaction sort of threw the whole "we were a family" theme they were going with into the trash, because no one seemed to have reached out. Like in Friends, that was a group. They negotiated salaries together and didn't screw each other. Jennifer and David could have asked for more money and really screwed over, for example, Lisa or Matt, but they didn't. Instead, The Fresh Prince threw one of its actresses out and ruined her reputation, and then replaced her with another actress, fine actress, but never gave her anything more to do. She was essentially a background character. Downvote if you will, but this really changed how I see The Fresh Prince, and I fucking love The Fresh Prince. A friend of mine is one of the coolest people I've ever met. Then I saw the live, laugh, love tattoo on her back. Yikes. Friend of 5 years, told my ex that I was going to break up with her a week before I could. A week after the breakup he asked her for a threesome. Denying COVID and the vaccine. Great question. Really had to think about this question, and here comes the philosophical questions. What did the person show us in which we gave them our respect to begin with? Do we hold ourselves to a belief or code of conduct that is deemed worthy of respect and hold others to that same belief? What does that person show us in ourselves that is an area we may disrespect ourselves? Went to a friend's house for our regular game night. His daughter came down and asked him for help with her homework. He snapped at her because he wanted to play a game we hadn't even started yet, and she ran away. I hadn't seen that behavior before or since from him, but boy did that cost him just a shit ton of points in my book. My husband's uncle. He was like a surrogate father figure to both my husband and I when we were in our early 20s and freshly on our own. Neither of us are close to any others in either of our families, and I had so much respect for him because he was generally a good guy who gave a lot of good advice and bits of wisdom when we couldn't go to anyone else or when we needed help figuring out adulthood. Then his father died, my husband's grandfather, and when his family started fighting over money, houses, etc., we backed his uncle because he had told us that he was trying to protect all the assets, accounts, and properties so the grandmother would be taken care of. My husband visits his grandma for a week and finds out that his uncle was actually the one trying to take everything and decide who gets what. My husband's grandma even showed him paperwork that his uncle had dropped off threatening to have her committed unless she signed everything over to him. We were fucking furious and I lost all respect for him. He was willing to commit his mother to a third world country asylum so he could take all of the money and properties that were given to her since she was still alive. Thankfully some of her other children helped get some good lawyers, made a new will, and appointed a power of attorney. My ex hit me. All respect lost when it happened. The 2020 election. Lost loads of respect for anyone who voted. Married men brazenly cheating on their wives / admitting to having cheated with no remorse. I say men because this has happened at least 3 times for me now. 2 of those men were my respected mentors at the time. Friend we shall call Brian, SWM49, who I have been friends with since we were young, for a good 28 years, is a hardcore, far-left self-proclaimed liberal educator. He is also a CA school teacher. For a while I had stopped trying to actually discuss anything with him because I knew it was a waste in time, if it did / does not meet or support his worldview, it's right-wing propaganda. Proceeded to explain, in depth and detail, the problems faced by the African American community to a black conservative friend of mine who is literally the son of a single mother who actually grew up in the projects and who has clawed his way out to being a successful businessman who not only owns his own home but who is having a new home custom built in the current economy. When my black conservative friend offered explanation and insight on what he saw / experienced / sees as the true issues and challenges of the African American community, Brian, SWM49, replied to the provided information with a GIF stating, TLDR sorry / congrats that happened to you. I just can't take anything said by Brian seriously or with the slightest respect anymore. For the sake of protecting someone's well-being, I'm not going to specify the influencer I'm going to talk about, just know I used to look up to them. One day they said in one of their videos seriously that if you had a certain opinion that they didn't want you to be associated with them at all and to leave. I was not of the opinion they were talking about, but I found it so bewildering that they would deliberately go out of their way to say if you disagree with me I don't want you to be a fan of me. Think about the more susceptible audience who had the opinion they were attacking, someone who found the happiness and support they needed in the videos they were just told to never watch again because of something as small as an opinion. I'm not saying that they can't make decisions for themselves and what they want their fan base to look like. I'm saying they showed a total disregard for how what they said may negatively affect someone. He said, no offense but. My boyfriend of 7 years woke up one morning and out of the blue said I don't think I love you anymore and took our car, and our dog to his parents' place 3 hours away for space, and left me confused and crying on our bed. Treated me like a stranger for a week before finally talking to me. Told me I was too depressed and that he didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. He was glad I was feeling better but he didn't think it would last. Then he wrote off our car. He had terminal cancer for 3 years when we were 23-24. I was depressed from the trauma of that. My dad not taking my depression serious and saying stuff like that I just want attention. The minute that Pos lied, gaslit, manipulated, grabbed me, and called me out of my name. After that, I lost all respect. A wolf in sheep's clothing. A classmate in high school argued with me about consent. At that time, there was a video spreading everywhere in my country about a drunk girl getting raped by men. He told me that he watched it and doubted that the girl was raped because she looks like she was enjoying it. I explained how the consent works, but he insisted that she wasn't raped. But the moment he told me he watched it, I already lost my respect on him. The video was spreading illegally and people would love to get a copy of it. I still don't get why would they rather watch videos like that. There are lots of porn you can watch freely and with the consent of both parties, too. As a rule of thumb, if someone grossly disrespect me or someone else, I lose respect. One big example I can think of is my aunt's ex-husband. They got divorced, and he completely alienated her from their 2 kids, who were barely teenagers at the time. We know it was just a sick way of revenge. Since then I've seen my cousins once in 4 years, while we previously grew up together. If it means I can have Mount Cousins back, I can probably be civil to the dickhead if I ever see him again, but the respect is long gone.